Hey, welcome everybody. Good to see you. Good to meet a lot of you today. My name is Brian Orme. I'm from La Jolla, California, so just down the road.
A little louder.
La Jolla, California. This is my good friend Kent. We've known each other for like 700 years, something like that.
Long time.
And recently met Nate at church, Jesus Culture, and then we just started talking about crypto and business, and we're like, man, there's a lot of overlap in our purpose and our passions, and so we should probably connect more, and so here I am tonight. And so how many of you are in crypto? You're invested, you're in. How many are like, I'm not sure yet? What the heck is this? Okay, awesome. So 2017 is when I started getting into crypto, and it was kind of an unusual way I got in because I was praying one day and God said, study Bitcoin. And I said, okay. I didn't know much about it, so I'm the kind of guy, like, I'm going all in, whether I'm going to research something. So I spent probably 100 hours researching Bitcoin, podcasts and videos and articles, and the more I researched, I was like, why was I not in this before when it was 30 cents a Bitcoin? You know, started doing the math. I was like, my life could be very different if I got in at 30 cents a Bitcoin. But I began to see the power of the technology from decentralization, and really the best way I can kind of describe it is it's almost like another version of the Constitution. You know, we were a decentralized republic is how we were founded in America, not as a democracy, but a decentralized republic with checks and balances. 3 branches of government. Bitcoin is very similar. You've got nodes, you've got miners, you've got developers. 3 branches to the government of Bitcoin. And what I love about it is anyone, anywhere in the world can access this technology as long as they have internet connection. And say you're in Venezuela, you're probably never going to own property if you live in Venezuela, like ever. But if you own Bitcoin, it's like you own property. So I don't see Bitcoin as currency, I see it as property, more so than that. And it's affording people all over the world the opportunity to actually own a piece of property that is a store of value that will continue to go up over time. So this is what I'm learning as I'm doing these 100 hours of research and realizing this is actually a really incredible technology that's empowering people to escape a system that is pretty corrupt. Would we agree that our financial system has a few issues going on? It's a Babylonian system. Most people have no idea how it actually works. It's very efficient. It's pretty genius, but it is very oppressive and, quite frankly, not just flawed, but it's evil. It's about the enslavement of people. And Bitcoin affords the opportunity for someone to opt out. The beauty of Bitcoin and a lot of crypto is I can send it to someone without any third-party involvement. Think about that for a moment. For over 300 years, to transfer value, there had to be a third party. For over 300 years. And now we're in an environment, I don't need permission. I don't need to sign a form. I don't need to verify my identity. I can just send it to anyone in the world. And within a matter of minutes, it's going to land in their address. That's pretty incredible. So as I come out of this research, as I'm praying more, God says, why don't you teach people about Bitcoin? Now at the time, this is how Kent and I met. My wife and I were missionaries to the universities. We were at UC San Diego for about 10 years, doing ministry there. And that's what I was doing at the time. And I was like, well, that's not kind of what I'm doing, like, talking about Bitcoin. So I was kind of hesitant, and I said, well, I'll do a little 10-day boot camp on Bitcoin. And I think it was like $400 or $500. I'll do this boot camp. Within an hour, it was sold out. And I thought, okay, so people are interested. So I did a second one. I opened up a second one, a third one. They were all sold out before I even did the first one. And what I realized, the people that were coming, they were financially literate. Like one guy was managing 150 million in funds. Like these were people who understood money. They did not understand crypto. And this is a whole new land for them. It's this mystical land. They didn't understand the language. how things operated, the protocols were very different. And so as I began to do this more and more, I started to work with high net worth individuals to help them get positioned into crypto. Again, very competent people in finance, but very uncomfortable in a new land. And so my first client, he's a rock star. His name's Brian Welch of the band Korn. I don't know if you know that guy. He's a good friend. And he was in my boot camp. And so he called me after, he says, hey, do you manage crypto assets? I'm like, there's no such thing as this right now. There's no regulation around this, so no, not really. He goes, but will you be my crypto manager? I was like, well, that's not a thing. I said, but look, I'll just kind of guide you. I'm not going to hold your stuff. This is what I'm doing, and I'll tell you what I'm doing, and you do the same thing. And so I started helping him navigate it, and without telling anyone else, all these people started saying, hey, can you help me do this? And they were wanting to put significant amounts of money into crypto. This was not just like, hey, I've got $100 on the side. This is like, I have 500,000 I want to put into crypto. And I was like, okay. So that started to become a thing where I started advising. I've probably done about 40 or 45 people up to this point, and they're doing very well now because we started this back in 2018, and they're very happy and about to be very, very happy where we're at currently. And so we're in the bull run, my friends, if you don't know already. We're probably about 10 to 15% into this current bull run, and it's about to get wild and crazy. And the reason it's get wild and crazy is because we've got a bunch of spot Bitcoin ETFs about to be approved, representing $27 trillion. That's with a T, not a B. And so there's a lot of speculation of how much of that is actually going to be allocated into Bitcoin. And that's going to largely determine where Bitcoin's going to go. And so some people are getting crazy speculative about it. I saw a guy today saying that next year it's going to $1 million within weeks of the approval of the ETFs. I'm just like, I hear this every cycle, by the way. Every cycle, it's like, last cycle it was, we're going to 500K. We're going to 400K. And I was like, no, we're not. We're not going there. Now, the difference of this cycle is, it is different. If you look at last cycle, when we peaked around 69K, November 2021, there was not pension money. There was not insurance company money. There was no ETF. So it is a very different environment, or it's about to be. So we're kind of going into a bit of an unknown scenario. Now we can look at history, and it rhymes very closely. Bitcoin behaves pretty normally in a 4-year cycle. It's actually pretty easy to predict when you understand the cycles. It's hard to get the exact bottom, the exact peak, but the rhythm is very similar every cycle. And so when you look at these 4-year cycles, of course, the halving, or the halving as some say, the halving is where the miners' rewards are shrunk in half. It's kind of this proposed to be a catalytic event. Yet every time there's a halving, Bitcoin drops about 40%. Unless something crazy happens, it's probably going to happen again. So if you're waiting on the sidelines to get in on Bitcoin, there's probably one more good opportunity about to come your way. Now that depends how high we get before the halving. Now if things go crazy and just a bunch of money floods very quickly from these ETFs, then yeah, the price going down 40% isn't going to be that big of a deal. But if you go down 40% from where we currently are, that's an awesome opportunity to accumulate more or to get in. Now, if we look at history, this happens every single time. So the last time was COVID. Interesting that the timing of this, when it normally happens, was COVID. It's almost like people know the cycle of Bitcoin. And so whether it's going to be a black swan event or just a normal occurrence, there's most likely going to be some level of a drop, either right before the halving or right after. And so I've got dry powder waiting on the side just because I think history is going to repeat again. But you do you. But if you've got some dry powder, I would wait just a little longer and grab and scoop up some more on the way. But this bull run, once it gets kicking and really going, I think it could be one of the biggest cycles, if not the biggest cycle, in Bitcoin's history and for all time. What we're seeing over time is Bitcoin has diminishing returns, peak to peak, low to low, and it's very significant. I mean, I'm talking like 70 to 80% different from cycle to cycle. These are big diminishing returns. Now, how many of you wish you were part of the first cycle? When it did 413,000%. None of us would probably be here right now. We'd be on our own islands doing something in our super yachts. The Bitcoin pizza, yeah. That guy's bitter. He's just in a corner rocking right now. Why did I do that?
Somebody. I forget how much was that? Like
it was a lot.
10,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
10,000 Bitcoin for one pizza. Some pizza guy.
That's why he's rocking in a corner right now.
There's $500 million pizza. There's a Twitter account or X, whatever, is like the Bitcoin pizza's worth. It's really sad.
It's crazy. But 80% of the holders of Bitcoin are in profit right now, which is pretty remarkable that people really aren't selling. And if you look at our latest rally that we've had, it's not retail money, like at all. 80% of the money coming in is outside the US. It's mainly family offices and entities outside the US that have driven this latest rally, which is super interesting to me. I mean, retail is not even in yet. So retail doesn't come in until the very end, when everyone, like, there'll come a point like every Uber driver you're talking to, your grandmother, your great-grandmother's talking about Bitcoin. That's when you know it's time to get out. When everyone is talking about it and they're getting in, it's like, this is the time to exit. Stage left, thank you very much. And there's a really good strategy if you're looking to really multiply your crypto. Some people are like, I'm just going to buy Bitcoin and I'm going to hold it and never sell it. That's fine. There's just a better way. Like, say you have 10 Bitcoin and you hold it the rest of your life. What if you could have like 200 Bitcoin? And it's actually really easy to do. All you do is you accumulate in a bear market as much as you can. You hold to the closest point of the peak as you can. You pull maybe 80% out. You park it in cash. You pay your tax. You wait for it to bottom again, which is about 10 to 14, 16 months. And you go right back in. Rinse and repeat every cycle, and you will have an obscene amount of money in about 2 to 3 cycles. Every crypto millionaire and billionaire, this is literally what they do. They take as much as they, or accumulate as much as they can, they hold it, let it peak, come out, pay their tax or not pay their tax if they're somewhere they don't have to pay tax. We're here, so it's satanic taxes, but here in California, but we pay our tax and then we enter back in. You can turn, I helped a person that got 2 Bitcoin that now has 28 Bitcoin doing this, without adding any more money. It's just doing that, in and out. And so that's just a little tidbit. If you don't know that, that's a really good way to approach this, to just accumulate largely. Now these next cycles after this one, are we going to keep seeing what we see? You know, I don't think it's going to be as volatile, which means not as much bigger opportunity in price gains, because TradFi's coming in and they want things to be a little more settled. But I'm okay with that, because this is a growing asset and I think it's going to be maturing more and more and more. But when you get outside Bitcoin, there's about 20,000 coins. A lot of them are trash, some are scams, and there are some gems that will be incredible. So in 2019, I started thinking about metaverse, and I started hearing little murmurings about the metaverse coming. And I found this coin called Seek VR. And I found it interesting because it was a coin where I thought, they're working with big artists, they're working with Universal Studios, Apple, and they want to kind of create these immersive concert events. And this coin would kind of be the transaction point for that. I said, well, I'll put 500 bucks in there. It was a half a penny per coin. And it sat there for 2 years and did nothing. I mean nothing. I was like, well, if I lose it, it's not the end of the world. And then all of a sudden, Lady Gaga's like, I'm going to get on board with this coin. And it goes from a half a penny to $1.20 in a pretty short period of time. And so my $500 is now $52,000. And so this is like pretty common in crypto. But that's pretty speculative. So anyone heard of Bonk? This coin Bonk? This Solana drop? And so this coin went up 20,000%, I think it was, in a very short period of time. It's basically a meme coin. And so a meme coin is just like there's no use case. It's just kind of a joke. But these meme coins can make people crazy cash. There was one, I can't remember the name of it. It was a few weeks ago. A guy put in $400. In 3 days, he has $1.2 million. In 3 days. I mean, what else can you do that's legal to get that level of return? I mean, it's just crazy, right? Now, does that happen all the time? No, but here's how I kind of sort through all the crazy 20,000 coins. I read their white paper. I look at who has funded this project and what other projects have they funded. Have they been successful? Who is the key people? Have they ever been involved in any other crypto project? And has it been successful? And do they have key partnerships? If all those line up, it's probably a good play. And so my strategy in that space is just to sprinkle about 10%. All I need is one coin to do really well. The other 9 could suck. But if I have one coin that does, 10,000%, I'm okay, or more. It takes the other coins out, like who cares? And so I did this last cycle. So Seek was one that did well. I had 4 other coins that did literally nothing at all. But the big gains in my Seek overwhelmed the other ones where I'm just like, I'll take a loss and be on my way. And so it can be overwhelming when you're looking at, there's so many freaking coins. They're doing so many different things. And so when I'm looking at a coin, I want to see, is it solving a problem? Is it the first project, which is typically the blockchain, is solving the problem? Are they the first ones to solve this problem? If they're the first ones to do it, most likely they'll do well. So take VeChain. This is a coin that is supply chain centric, and their blockchain is solving supply chain issues. And there are issues, right, with supply chain. Remember COVID when it took you forever to get stuff because supply chain was going crazy? This is a problem that makes sense to be solved. And so VeChain is a coin that will probably do well in the long term. And so that's what I'm always looking for. What are the problems? Who are the team? What are the funders? And what's the white paper? If everything checks, at least for me personally, they usually do pretty well. Outside of that, Ethereum is probably my favorite coin. And the reason Ethereum is my favorite coin is it's going to be the money of the internet. It has way more use case than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is really a store of value, which is awesome. But you're not going to be using your Bitcoin. Like buying pizzas. No one's going to be doing this. Like no one in their right mind is going to be using Bitcoin as a currency. Now Ethereum, on the other hand, is going to be and is being used as a currency. NFTs primarily are Ethereum based. All the decentralized applications, decentralized finance. The legacy financial system is going to become irrelevant if they do not upgrade to the blockchain. Everything's going on the blockchain. Everything. Every commodity will be tokenized. Everything is moving in this direction. And Ethereum is going to be the bulk of that activity. There are other coins competing with Ethereum, but Ethereum has so much market share. Nothing gets remotely close to Ethereum. And Ethereum always outperforms Bitcoin. Every cycle. Every cycle. And I expect it to do the same thing this cycle. And so if you're looking for a really solid store of value type of coin that has a bigger upside, go in Ethereum. Personally, I'm much heavier in Ethereum than Bitcoin because of that. And so then you take your Ethereum profits and you roll it back into Bitcoin. And then you roll it back over to Ethereum and you ride the waves all the way. And so I want to share this. I think this will be interesting. So this is cycle history, Bitcoin cycle history. So November 29th, 2013, Bitcoin peaked at $1,242. I mean, it would have been nice to get in at that point as well. January 12th, 2015, Bitcoin bottomed at $152. So that bear market lasted 410 days with an 88% loss. December 15th, 2017, Bitcoin peaks 19,500. December 18th, 2018, bottoms at 3233. That bear market lasted 364 days with an 83% loss. November 10th, 2021, this last cycle, Bitcoin peaked around 69K. November 19th, 2022, bottoms at 15,750. Bear market lasts 374 days with a 77% loss. So you can see these bear markets are pretty similar in length. And then we're seeing the percentages changing each cycle. Then January 19th, 2011, Bitcoin was 30 cents. This is where, Jesus, why didn't you tell us about this? With the peak at 1242, bull market lasts 1,045 days with 413% gains, 13,000% gains. January 13, 2015, Bitcoin was 152, peaks at 19,500. So that bull cycle lasted 1,076 days with 12,729% gains. That's still pretty good, right? December 14, 2018, Bitcoin's 3233 with the peak at 69K. Bull market, 1,062 days with 2,034% gains. 1,058 days from the cycle low puts us at October 12th, 2025. So if we take these bull cycles, which are very close, I mean, look at that, we're talking days, pretty much the same length every time. If you take the average of that, that puts us at October 12th, 2025. For the peak, it's probably going to be November, most likely, because Bitcoin likes to peak in November or December. But that is most likely, highly likely, where we're going to peak. Quarter 4, 2025. Now we could see all-time highs next year, but the actual peak is not going to be till 2025. So percentage gains are shrinking every cycle. 97% difference from first to second cycle. 84% difference from second to third cycle. So this means 71% decrease from last cycle's 2,034% gain. If you take that average, that puts the bull gain cycle percentage at 575%. A 570% increase puts Bitcoin's price at 107,000. So we're just looking at historical data. So cycle 1 to 2 high was 3,781%. Cycle 2 to 3 high was 1,470%. Cycle 3 to 4 high was 253%. First difference is 61% from 1 and 2. Second difference, 3 to 4, 83%. So taking an average would put us at 72% this cycle. So percentage increase from high to high would be 70%. That puts Bitcoin at 120,000 quarter 4, 2025, based on that metric. So based on historical data, 115,000 to 140,000. If you look at Fibonacci sequence as well, it's about 138,000 if it goes where it normally does in that sequence. Now here's the thing though. What about the ETFs? What about the ETFs? This is only based on previous history, no ETFs. So if we had a normal cycle, this is probably where we're going, somewhere in that range. The higher percentage of that 27 trillion that comes in, the higher this is going to go. Now, I'm going to throw a number out to you. You're probably going to say you're completely out of your mind. I'm just saying this is possible. It would require quite a bit of that 27 trillion, but it is possible. A $1 million Bitcoin this cycle is possible. Per Bitcoin. Like if you get into like 5% of that 27 trillion, you're like almost 300,000 for the Bitcoin, just on that alone. That's not retail money. That's just ETFs. And so who knows where it's going to go? It's all speculation at this point. But I think, my personal prediction, I think we will be over 200K by Q4 2025. I think probably 250 to 3, somewhere in that range, which is wild, right? This is crazy. Now, next cycle, is it going to be as big? I don't know. This could be one of the last big ones. Now, if we go beyond 250, I'm fine with that. I think you're fine with that as well. I mean, let's keep this train going. And so it's going to be interesting to see. Now, with Ethereum, there's going to be an Ethereum ETF as well, probably in the summer 2024. So Bitcoin will come first. Ethereum ETFs have already been applied for. They will be approved. You're probably going to see a Chainlink ETF as well. You're probably going to see a Solana ETF as well after Ethereum gets all set up. You're going to start seeing some of these layer 2s getting ETFs because a lot of institutional money likes Solana. They like Chainlink. I mean, Chainlink is going to be a beast. If you're looking for a coin that's going to do well over the long term, it's solving some massive problems. It's the only one doing that. And so I would definitely check out Chainlink. I think it's going to be super cool. But here are 3 coins I've been looking at to check out. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Goldfinch. Goldfinch is interesting. They're really involved in the lending space, specifically with USDC stablecoin with actual corporations. And so they're going to be really involved in the TradFi evolution. And so this coin last cycle got to $34. It's about $1.50 right now. So if it just went to where it went last time, that's a pretty good return. So that's kind of what I always look for. Where did it go last cycle? Are they still developing this thing? Are there still good partnerships? And what's the metrics? Those are good metrics. Vulcan Forged is another cool one. This is decentralized finance. Similar kind of scenario where it was at the peak in the last cycle and where it is now. A lot of room to move. And then Caspa. Caspa is kind of a more longer term one I would think about. But I think this could be a massive project, Caspa. So if you don't know where to go, coinmarketcap.com. You can see all the coins there. You can check them out. You just look up something like this, one of these coins. It's going to give you all the data, the high, the low. And you can get usually a link to a white paper, their website, all that good stuff. Easy place to check it out. Kent is a part of a thing that I do called Abundance Intelligence Briefings. So once a month, we got about 150 or so people from around the world. If you want to scan that, it'll put a virus on your phone, and then if you sign up, it'll come off once you sign up. I'm just kidding. That's right. So we do monthly Zoom calls, kind of updates, state of crypto. We also pray into coins. We ask God, what coins should we get into? And it actually works. It's pretty wild. God's actually interested in this stuff. And so one of my favorites was in one session, and keep in mind, we've got beginners, Jedis. It's a good mix of people. And so this one was fun because it was all beginners that were getting this. They don't know other projects. And like, I keep seeing a rose, and I saw a bouquet of roses, and because we were just like, okay, God, is there a coin like you're breathing on that we should pay attention to? And it was probably 6 people that kept seeing stuff about roses. And what was interesting for me is I'd been studying this coin called Rose, is the ticker, Oasis Protocol. And this is, I don't know, you remember? It was like a year and a half ago, something like that. Yeah. And so I was like, hey, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but if you want to go in on this. And so within, I think it was 7 or 10 days, it was like 53%. It went up. And so we've seen this kind of time and time again. And so Vulcan Forge came up in our last meeting. And there's a woman who is completely brand new. I think it was her first call. And she's like, this is what I'm seeing. And I'm like, that sounds like the logo of Vulcan Forged. And so I share my screen. I said, did it look like this? And she's like, oh my gosh, that's the thing that I saw. And so, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. We just had our call last Monday. But you may want to check that out. So we have a private Telegram channel as well. It's a really awesome group of people. And people post questions in the group. And if it's me or someone's going to answer the question. And so if you're kind of looking to be a part of a community that is also like about the kingdom, and because for me, like this wealth generation is about the nations being blessed and the kingdom advancing, helping people, abundances to pour out into others. And so if we can do this in the crypto space and change the world along the way, come on, let's do it. So check that out. Any questions?
You post like regular updates as well, by the way, in the Telegram too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So in between the monthly meetings, is also posting little updates.
Yeah, I'll do voice memos in there, like usually at least a few times a week.
And it's super reasonable.
It's just like 1,000 a month. No, I'm kidding. It's just 27 a month.
$27, yeah.
Yeah. Any questions? Crypto? Bitcoin? That's great. It's been on a terror run too. It's been doing well. They're really developing, so I think it's going to be a monster in the future. It'll do well this cycle too. Yeah. You in Avalanche?
I got a bunch of partners.
I haven't heard of that.
Check it out. It's brand new.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Might have to Avalanche. I can't, whatever it is, it has you
Nice.
on Avalanche. Yeah.
Go Pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Awesome.
I'll tell you more after.
Yeah.
Do you still expect with 9 ETFs, you expect a normal dip? Pull back? One arc is in January, the other March.
Yeah.
So the pullback would have to happen. Don't see it by then. Your powder dry until after, before they deploy, before they all come.
I mean, I think once they're approved, it's going to take a little while to get that capital in. And so some people are like, all right, the next day it's just going to go crazy. I'm like, no, it's probably not. It's going to take a little bit for their salespeople to go out to get their capital rolling in. And I don't know how.
Salespeople, yeah, but
Yeah.
for people that are sitting on capital, right, they expect that influx to come. The FOMO of not deploy after.
Yeah.
They're coming on quickly. So I'm just level of pullback, or we were hoping to see something around 20, 25K.
Yeah.
And they hit 45K. Like, well,
Exactly.
It'd be nice to see 30 again.
I mean, you have the CME futures gap,
Right.
which is 39.7. That's almost always filled. So at the very least, we're going to touch that. We probably will wick below that as well. So even 37 is pretty healthy for us to go back there. And so to me, like, just continuing going up is not healthy. Like, there's got to be
Right.
consolidation.
Yeah, I would agree.
And so if I look at how fast we've gone up, like we'd need a pretty good pullback, or it could be a really big pullback down the road. And so I'd rather have just kind of a 30, 40%, and we're done. Let's go towards the peak versus 6 months, 9 months. We have this big, flush.
How do you think the economy?
It'll be interesting. I mean, they want to cut rates. I don't know if inflation's going to come back. If it does, I still think that's a win for Bitcoin. because people are looking at this as, I mean, if you look at this year, we're up over 170% on Bitcoin. I mean, what else is even close to that? I mean, since 2020, it's up 250%, I think, at least. I mean, I was talking to a woman today, she's like, should I get in something besides Bitcoin with my money? I'm like, what? What else is going to do that? Like, I mean,
Soybeans.
yeah, right? I got my wheat barrel, and it's like, I don't know, like and especially with where we are in the cycle, like we're at the very beginning of this. And so that's why I was just like, I don't know of anything else that's going to outpace Bitcoin. I mean, nothing has for 10 years. And so I think the economy not doing well is actually will be beneficial for crypto.
I guess let's talk about crypto stock market as a stock or sort of.
I mean, quarter one, it started to decouple from the behavior. So this year, it's actually the first year it's actually starting to kind of be its own, which is super awesome. It's kind of behaving more like gold, honestly. And I think in the big picture, gold is a boomer asset. Millennials are not buying gold. Gen Z is definitely not going to buy gold. And so that's, to me, another indication of Bitcoin's power in the future. It's probably going to take a lot of the market cap of gold. Because it's millennials and Gen Zs, they're not going to physical gold. It's like, for them, it makes no sense. Like, I'll just get Bitcoin. Yeah. So there's a lot of room still for this pretty young asset to do pretty well. No, altcoins get crushed. And so I get completely out of altcoins. Some of them crash 99%. And some don't come back. I mean, a lot don't come back. So your kind of bigger coins that have really good development will. But I mean, I had coins last cycle that I was like, well, I'll just hold it, another cycle because it didn't do anything. It's like, crick, it just died. And so I really encourage people to do not hold alts past a peak, because that's where people get crushed. Because you have to wait 4 years for it to come back. And so Bitcoin, Ethereum, I kind of look at that 80% threshold, keep 20% in. Some people take all of it out. And you can do this in a crypto IRA. You can do the same thing. You can multiply your Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever it is, and it's tax-free.
What are your thoughts on when high, out of low?
It depends on the timing of the loan, because if you're going right close to a peak, you're going to start going down. So the value of your bags is going to get lower and lower. But Michael Saylor's done that. For MicroStrategy, the biggest holder corporation of Bitcoin in their balance sheet, that's been his strategy. Borrow against it to buy more. I think...
He's borrowing traditional. He's not borrowing through a lending platform. An asset that's valuing. So can they call that back? It dips below. Or he can buy his way out. That's MicroStrategy.
Yeah. Indeed. I mean, me personally, I would probably not, because I think there's higher risk to it. Plus, there's not as many places to do that anymore. Yeah. I mean, last cycle we had Celsius, BlockFi. You could do this, and now they're destroyed, right? And so I personally probably wouldn't do it. I'll just steal someone else's Bitcoin or no.
So back to Brian's question on the historical kind of 40% pullback. So even with the ETFs, are you still thinking? So are you thinking it might pull back and then the ETF money will really start to flow in, or no one knows obviously, but I mean, how do you
I
kind of foresee that?
personal opinion. I think they know how the cycles work, and they're trying to time the approval of their ETFs and the entrance of that money when there's a dip, so they can make their clients money, and they make money. Like, to me, it's just like, it seems kind of obvious to me, like the timing of everything. It's like they're not stupid.
Marchish, April again.
Yeah, halving, I think, is April 23rd, somewhere around there. Yeah. Any questions, derogatory comments?
No, I appreciate it.
What do you think
No.
of that?
Yeah, man.
What do you think of Ripple?
I think it's going to do well this cycle. It's been suppressed for so long. There's kind of these theories based on its previous behavior, not this last cycle because it was locked up in the SEC case, but it could go to like $5, $10, or even $50, just based on what it's done before. And so that would be crazy. I think $5 to $10 is pretty reasonable this cycle. Yeah, for sure. Cool. I wanted to share last just a couple minutes here, unless there's any other question. Good. Awesome. This is a new venture that I have going. So I have 3 businesses. I have a wellness retreat business. We do Christocentric wellness retreats with breath work, cold exposure, all the good stuff that has been perverted and stolen. We're bringing it back to its original intent, meditation, all that good stuff. And then I have a business through which I do speaking. I'm an author, that type of stuff. And then this is a new business called Kingdom Broker. And so 2 partners of mine and myself, Eric Skeldon, Sebastian Harris. Some of you may know Sebastian. He was in the Carlsbad area. He's the co-founder of Public Square. They took an app in 24 months to $300 million. He worked 14 hours a day for 7 days a week for 2 years straight to do that. And so he's a part of our team, one of the founders. And what we're doing is we're going to be building an app that will connect buyers and sellers of values-based businesses. And there's nothing like this at this stage of connecting people via values. And so there's Biz Buy Sell, there's Acquire.com, there's some of these empire flippers. You know, M&A is not something new, but there hasn't been really an environment to protect someone's values in the process and preserve their legacy. So I'll tell you a story. It's a real story. This guy, Mikey, he's a landscape owner. He's been doing it for 12 years. He's killing it. His business is growing. He can't stay up because his business, there's just too many people that want his business. But he's kind of old. He's ready to retire. His son wants to be a YouTube star. I mean, literally, he doesn't want to work. He doesn't want to take over the business. And Mikey's like, hey, I've worked really hard to build this business. Like, I don't want to pass it off to someone that doesn't share my values. This is literally what he said to us. I don't want to pass this on if there's not shared values. And so we want to help solve that problem. The greatest wealth transfer in history is about to happen. It's called boomers are retiring that own businesses. It is the biggest wealth transfer ever in history. That's about to happen. In the next 10 to 15 years, they're all going to retire. And you have a ton of business owners. And a lot of them do have really clear values, and they don't want to just sell their business to anyone. That's going to take it in a completely different direction. So we want to kind of help solve that problem. And so small to mid-sized business owners want to exit. They often lack experience. I mean, a lot of people don't even know they can sell their business. Like, I met a guy who's like, oh, my business just dissolved. I'm like, why didn't you sell it? Well, what do you mean? Like, I could sell it? I'm like, yeah, you can sell your business. Doesn't have to just disappear into dust. But a lot don't understand how to do that, where to even begin. There's 30 million small business owners in the United States, 8 to 10,000 small business sale transactions a year, and there's not one app, literally not one app that does this. There are marketplaces online that are listing sites, but there's no app that can do this. And so we're working with a company. They built the first iteration of Headspace. This is an app that is worth $3 billion right now. They built the first 2 iterations of Pray.com, 15 million users, 2.5 million users that pay. They're making $20 million a month on that app, by the way, with that Pray.com. And they built that app. They're the team that are going to be helping to build this app as well. And so our vision is to connect buyers and sellers of values-based businesses. We want to empower business owners to preserve legacy for a larger purpose and protect their values in the process. And so 5 million business applications are filed annually, which is crazy. 30 million are in the lower middle market, which is what we're targeting, kind of that 1 to 10 million boring business. And once you kind of get 25, 50 million, the bigger cats start to play. In the 1 to 10 million market, the big cats don't play in that pool. And that's the pool we want to play in, which represents a Mikey, like the guy I just mentioned. And so we have a sell side and a buy side we're going to be looking at. And so there's a third party. Nathan knows this guy, Thomas Carter, with Dealbox. They did a third party kind of pro forma for us based on our model. And in 5 years, it puts us at 168 million in valuation based on our model. And that is defensible and pretty conservative, in my opinion. And so we're going to have app features where people can buy access for market listings and educational content of how do I sell my business, how do I buy a business with no money down, how do I incorporate seller financing in a deal, all that type of stuff. We'll be acquiring businesses, and then we have a partnership, 2 partnerships, one with a business brokerage of 40 years, not one lawsuit, if you can believe that, it's crazy. 500 million a year on average is what they're doing in deals. We're going to be a lead generation pipeline for them, and we'll get about 30% of all deals and all ancillary services for the lifetime of that client. And they've got a deep reservoir of ancillary services. And then we have this partnership with a network of real estate agents, about 70,000 agents, that we're going to educate how to be a business broker with their real estate agent access. And we'll get a percentage, I think it's about 10% of all the deals that go through there, as well as what we're doing within our app itself. And so we're super excited about this. We want to algorithmically match buyers and sellers through a set of protocols and values. And again, this is going to be the first app to actually tackle this and do this. And then on our revenue model for the future, we're looking to continue to acquire businesses. We've got a couple businesses currently. We're looking at a few more. And then we've got PE funds that we're working with, high net worth individuals that have a deal box, and we want to help find them deals as well. And then one PE fund we're going to partner with to be kind of a 30% equity partner, to have them kind of be a first layer access to our market listings. And so we're in the round. There I am. Look at me. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer. Eric Skeldon, he's CEO. Sebastian Harris, who I mentioned, co-founder of Public Square, he's our COO. Matt Potter, the founder of Pray.com, he's an advisor with us. Bernadette Cole, she's in the top 1% in real estate in the United States. She has a massive network of realtors and mortgage offices and all sorts of stuff that we're going to be working with. And so we're in a phase of a safe round. And so if you're interested in learning more about it, we've got a deck, we've got a pro forma. That will excite you. There's so many spreadsheets in it. It's ridiculous. If you like spreadsheets, you will sing. But if you don't, you might cuss. I don't know. But kingdombroker.com, our website just went live a couple weeks ago. You can check it out. I can talk to you afterwards as well. But if you want information, just reach out to me, Brian@kingdombroker.com, and I can send you info if you'd like to learn more about it, how to partner with us as we get this thing built, and it's going to be awesome. Any questions on that?
Just a quick, like a high-level overview of the raise.
Yeah.
Minimums to get in.
Yeah, we're doing a $2 million raise. It's a safe, so that's equity in the future for the next round, 40% discount. And that's going, a big chunk, $1 million of that's going to be for the development of the app with the team that we're working with, for marketing, legal, admin, all the stuff.
What's the partnership with Grata that you had? I saw
With Grata,
Yeah.
this one?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the competition. Yeah. So the big boxes there are kind of the bigger marketplaces online. Biz Buy Sell is by far the biggest. They have millions of users, but there's no one that's aligning people through values.
And none of those have apps.
No. I mean, I've seen one app on the App Store that had horrible reviews. That's the only one. Yeah, I mean, which is kind of surprising, but there's nothing. And so...
Bad review. Is there a minimum investment?
Yeah, 50,000.
50.
Yep. And so the target is like $1.20 per share at that next raise. I think the low end we're speculating is about 70 cents maybe. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.